Greetings, everyone. Father Jim here. Hope you're doing well on this Tuesday. It is the 30th day of January. I'll just be reading from our Gospel today, chapter 5 in Mark, beginning with verse 21. And when Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a large crowd gathered around him, and he stayed close to the sea. One of the synagogue officials, named Jairus, came forward. Seeing him, he fell at his feet and pleaded earnestly with him, saying, "My daughter is at the point of death. Please come lay your hands on her, that she may get well and live." And he went off with him, and a large crowd followed him. Now there was a woman afflicted with hemorrhages for 12 years. She had suffered greatly at the hands of many doctors and had spent all she had, yet she was not helped but only grew worse. She had heard about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. She said, "If I but touch his clothes, I shall be cured." Immediately her flow of blood dried up. She felt in her body that she was healed of her affliction. Jesus, aware at once that the power had gone out from him, turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who has touched my clothes?" But his disciples said to him, "You see how the crowd is pressing upon you, and yet you ask, 'Who touched me?'" And he looked around to see who had done it. The woman, realizing what had happened to her, approached in fear and trembling. She fell down before Jesus and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has saved you. Go in peace and be cured of your affliction." While he was still speaking, people from the synagogue official's house arrived and said, "Your daughter has died. Why trouble the teacher any longer?" Disregarding the message that was reported, Jesus said to the synagogue official, "Do not be afraid, just have faith." He did not allow anyone to accompany him inside, except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. And when they arrived at the house of the synagogue official, he caught sight of a commotion, people weeping and wailing loudly. So he went in and said to them, "Why this commotion and weeping? The child's not dead, but asleep." And they ridiculed him. Then he put them all out. He took along the child's father and mother and those who were with him, and entered the room where the child was. He took the child by hand and said to her, "Talitha cum," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." The girl, a child of 12, arose immediately and walked around. At that they were utterly astounded. He gave strict orders that no one should know this, and said that she should be given something to eat. Well, there are certainly some painful scenes in our gospel today. A father struggles as his young daughter faces death. And then there's the woman who has suffered for 12 years without answers and comes forward to be healed. Jesus' response in the face of these very difficult circumstances is very powerful. The woman with the years-long hemorrhage does not even talk to Jesus at first. She just pushes through the crowd to touch his cloak. And despite the crowd, Jesus still feels it. She is healed. And after she tells him her story, Jesus tells her it is because of her faith. And moving on from there, he continues to go to the synagogue official's daughter. Even when everyone tells him it is useless and too late, and even ridicule him, Jesus tells them just to have faith. Jesus tells those around them to be not afraid, just to have faith. We are all facing suffering. We know how easy it is to succumb to fear in those situations. And when things feel overwhelming and we struggle to see a way forward, our vulnerability makes us feel like fear is the only option. But it's not. It can feel like the unknown is all is there, but it's not. Jesus urges us not ever to get hung up in there. Jesus meets us in our pain, and he tells us just to have faith. Jesus indeed is always with us. He's meeting us where we are and with whatever burdens we carry. And so may our encounter with the Lord each day, especially in prayer, increase our faith and let it help us to endure whatever suffering that we might be facing always in our lives. Well, let's keep praying for one another as well, because we need that support. We are that communion of saints. So let's continue to keep that in mind. Hope your Tuesday is going well. Take care. God bless you.